Hello, friend. This video is about my experience with a psychic development mediumship circle last night. For those of you who are new, my name is Sadie Smiley, and I'm recording everything that I experience as I go through this awakening and as I'm on this journey, which the journey is forever. So I don't know how long I will be doing this. I'm just kind of listening to the guidance I'm receiving. Last night, I went to a psychic mediumship circle and there were 24 people there, which was amazing, very surprising, and a mix of all genders, which was also interesting. Most of these spaces are all women. Now, there were still only I think 3 men, but still, usually there's like one, and it's my husband. She used a phrase that I've never heard before called sitting for the blend. I have not looked it up yet to see if it's like a thing that everybody uses. I'm just doing these videos as I go before I learn all the things, but I just wanted to share that. She was talking about clairgustance and clairalience, which she called it clairalience, but when I learned about it, it was called clairalience. So whatever, everybody pronounces things different. Just like people say lyra and people say lyra, crystalline and crystalline. So I'm guessing just like whatever resonates. So clairgustance is taste, and then clairalience is smelling. So when you're going into these practices and you're connecting with spirit or your higher self or your guides or whoever, sometimes you can be brought smells and tastes. And the first time I learned this was from Ari from Awkwardly Zen. We were doing psychic practice, and she was holding an object, and we were all supposed to tell her what came to our mind. And I said I smelled flowers, which was very confusing because nobody else was talking about smelling. They were like, "Oh, I got this idea and this idea," and I said I felt it in my heart. And she was holding a box of oracle cards. And when she opened it, the design was flowers and a heart. So that was kind of cool. I am going to do a video on all the clairs. My strongest clair is claircognizance, which is just like clear knowing. But there are other clairs like clairvoyance where you can see things. I'm just barely getting to where I have any sort of clairvoyance, but it's not what I expected. I thought it would be like, well, I'm sure other people experience it this way, but like for me, it's just kind of like flashes of images. A lot of people have described it to me though, where it's like a projection. And it's interesting that they use those words because as I've coached over these years, my business coaching, I've told people that I literally, when I talk to them, I can see their 6-figure path as a projection in front of me, and I see it so clearly. So all of my psychic abilities and all of my, just natural intuition and stuff has really helped me be an amazing business coach all these years, which is why it's a little weird to be completely flipping, but we'll talk about that in another video. So the practice we did, and I'll just share it with you so you can practice if you want. I'm going to give you the item name and then you can press pause and see what comes up. Now, what she told us to do is think about the item name and then think about the memory or emotion that is associated with it. So the first one was chocolate covered strawberries. I have no memories and no emotions that come up with chocolate covered strawberries. However, instantly in my head, it switched to chocolate covered cherries, and it made my stomach hurt because my grandpa used to buy us chocolate covered cherries for Christmas, and we would have to act like we liked them. Yeah, so that's what came up for me. Interestingly enough, another man in this circle shared that whenever she said chocolate covered strawberries, he changed it to chocolate covered cherries as well. The next one was lemons, which made my mouth water, but I couldn't taste it. And I had a memory of eating them with my mom with salt. We both love lemons. The next one is metallic. And the memory that came to mind was when my oldest daughter almost choked on a penny. So random. Jello with whipped cream was the next one. And then sweet tea. And then bitter chocolate. I didn't get anything for bitter chocolate because Ew. And then clairalience, the smell, I was really not happy about this. As someone who is very, very sensitive to smells and tastes, this was not super fun because all those sounded good, but when she started doing the smells, the first smell was cigarette smoke. I was literally trying not to throw up because I smelled it instantly, had a headache, nauseous, anxious, just gross. Um, mm, gross. The next smell was gasoline. I was hoping that she could do like nice smells. So then she did coffee next, which was nice. Um, and that brought up a memory. So my husband roasts coffee, so that instantly popped in my head. But I also had a memory of my grandpa on my dad's side, oddly enough, which I've never even thought of him because we weren't close, but he drank Folgers coffee. So in my head, I saw a Folgers canister. The next one was perfume or cologne. And then rain. The rain smell brought me to a waterfall in Oregon. That was really cool. And then we got together with a partner. We numbered off and got with a partner, and we did a reading for them. Now, my partner and I are both autistic and have ADHD, so we didn't really hear the directions very well, apparently, because we did it wrong. But one person was the medium and one person was the sitter. And so my partner gave a name. You had to give a name. The sitter had to give a name of a person who had passed. And then the medium was supposed to see what smells and tastes came up. Okay. I hope I'm explaining this well. So my partner gave a name, and I misheard the name both times that they gave me a name. It was very interesting. Both times I couldn't decipher. Like the first time I thought that they were talking about a man and it wasn't, it was a woman. And the second time, um, I couldn't decipher whether it was a man or a woman. The names that they used and the way that they said it, and the room was very loud because everybody was talking. And I thought that was interesting because it like didn't cloud my judgment of, oh, this or that would go with, oh, maybe that's their grandma. Oh, maybe that's there was no thought of who it might have been. But the first person that gave me their name, I instantly smelled sage, but I thought it was like in the shop. And the person was like, no, it doesn't smell like sage in here. And I was like, okay. And then I got like a sweet fruit taste and then a brown sugar smell. The smells were like getting away from me. Like I was like chasing them with my nose. I was like, what is that? Because I was smelling it, but it wasn't like super strong. Thankfully, I would have been nauseous, but brown sugar. And so they told me that this person was their grandma and they liked to cook. That's where the sage came in. And then they liked to, that they baked a lot. And I guess that's where the brown sugar and sweetness came in. So that was pretty cool. And then the next person that they gave me, I instantly smelled like a peachy smell, but that what came through the strongest was champagne, but not champagne. So it was like the feeling of champagne, like celebratory or something, but it was the bubbles. I felt the bubbles. And so I was like, oh, what is that? Like sparkling grape juice. So when these things are coming to you, they're going to seem so weird and silly and random. And so I just trusted and I was like, okay, sparkling grape juice. And they looked confused and I was like, uh-oh. And they go, wait, sparkling grape juice? And had a whole story about how this person, I think it was their mom. Yeah, their mom bought the sparkling grape juice for somebody else in the family. I don't know if it's one of the kids or what, but had a whole story about it. And it was very like spot on for them. And also one of the guys was speaking up and he was like, did anybody like try to cheat and like send the smells and what, the memories to the person? And my partner was like, yeah, I was thinking of chocolate. And then you said sparkling grape juice. So I did not get the chocolate. I got the sparkling grape juice, which the instructor, teacher, whatever you call her, was like, yeah, because the medium is connecting with the spirit of the person, not with you. So you sending her those vibes in their head, it's not going to help. So I found that very interesting that we connected in that way. And then they read for me, and the two people I chose, they both it didn't feel super spot on for me, but it did feel like so it's not that it wasn't super spot on. It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, yes, because I had all kinds of thoughts in my head about what my thoughts were about smells and taste associated with the first person. But they said it was like a spicy cologne, and I remember it was my grandpa, and I remember he used to put his aftershave on, and it tickled my nose when I smelled it. I didn't like it. And so they said that, and that was very interesting. But I was expecting like he always cooked popcorn. He always cracked walnuts, and I hate walnuts. I hate the smell, and pecans. And like there were all these thoughts that I had in my head, and they didn't come up. So I was like, that wasn't spot on, but that's not accurate. It just wasn't what I was thinking. And then they read, and I chose my dad, which it's very interesting that I chose my grandpa and my dad because neither one of them, like, I don't think about any of them, either of them really. And I have a really strong connection to my grandma. So it was interesting that I didn't say that, but that's who popped in my head. But instantly, whenever I said my dad, they were like, they told me they were trying to separate because that he reminded them of somebody else they knew. And so they were kind of in their head about it for a moment. And then they said they were trying to kind of like, I think, be tiptoe and politically correct because they said a few things. They said leather and sweat was the smell that they had, which is crazy because that's exactly what the garage smelled like, because my dad had a bunch of biker friends and they always wore leather and they always just smelled gross. And I remember this from when I was like 5. But then they said alcohol, like they were smelling and tasting like an alcohol, and my dad was literally an alcoholic. So that was interesting. And we didn't give each other much information at all. Like there wasn't an exchange of, oh, they liked this and they did this and they did this, because we were trying to make sure we didn't give away any of the smells or tastes. Like, oh, he worked in a mechanic shop, like instantly you're gonna smell oil. So that was my experience with the psychic medium practice. I don't know that I'm like, I need to talk to dead people type person. I don't know that that's my path. I don't know that that's my thing. Like, it was cool that I was able to connect, but I don't know. I'm still discovering. I'm still figuring out. I really love connecting with the galactic beings, and oh my gosh, I got this deck. OMG. You know how I told you about my lion guide that showed up the other night that I channeled through me? Yep, I got this deck like yesterday. It arrived, and I'm obsessed. I've never even liked lions and tigers and stuff. I don't know. It's weird, but that seems to be a theme of my life lately. I'm going to do another video, and it's going to be about my celestial blue star Reiki experience. I did get certified as a master blue star Reiki person. I don't know what you call yourself there, but I got certified in it this past weekend. It was an interesting experience, and my next step is to go to that person's master Usui Reiki class, master certification thing. And the thing is, like, I never was drawn to Reiki. I didn't think I was going to be like a Reiki person. In fact, when I meet Reiki people, I'm just kind of like, did you get your certificate from Udemy, or did you actually go and do the work? Because there's a lot of people out there who will just like take a pre-recorded class and then call themselves a Reiki master. And I feel like if you're calling yourself a master of any craft, you really have to, like, I'm not saying you have to pay thousands of dollars. I'm not a college person. I'm not like that. I'm not an elitist. But you really have to dig in and practice. Like, you have to practice on yourself, and then you have to practice on others, and then, all of this. And I just feel like it's always felt like a disconnect kind of when people talk about Reiki. You can tell the people who are really in their craft, and then the people who just wanted a checkbox, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to be that person that like really learns and immerses themselves, but like I said, I've never really been drawn to it. So I don't think that I'm going to be doing a bunch of Reiki on people. I can see myself doing distance healing. I really like that. But I also, I'm learning as I go. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm just kind of following the path that keeps getting laid out in front of me. And I'm very thankful that my guides are so generous with all of their information and the path, or I would be floating aimlessly in space right now.